Hello and welcome to Young Blossom 25 Future Leaders Revealed. I'm Inga and with me is Vios, my co-host. Today we're actually recording from 3 different locations. I happen to be in London. Vios is still in Athens. And we have with us our guest of today, who is in Lisbon, and Vera Macedo, who is joining us for a conversation about future leadership to share her perspective on multi-generational workplaces. So Vera is an associate manager of strategic insights at Newton X, where she helps organizations unlock data-driven decision-making through high-impact research and analysis. She's based in Lisbon. She combines global market intelligence expertise with a strong academic foundation from Lisbon School of Economics and Management. And at Newton X, she plays a key role in translating complex market data into actionable strategies, supporting clients across different industries. Vera's career reflects a passion for turning insights into business growth. We love that. And her international outlook positions her as a valuable bridge between markets, teams, and cultures. And Vera is a Gen Z. Very, very warm welcome, Vera, to the show. This is what ChatGPT had to say about you. And as we realize, it tells a lot about who people are as professionals. Good or bad, it tells very little of who you are as a person. Tell us a little bit more. Welcome, Vera.
Thank you, Inga. I think the intro is actually pretty accurate, professionally speaking, of course. It lacks a bit of personal information, that's for sure. I would say that I'm very curious. That's why I actually work with insights. I think you need to be a very curious person to do it. I'm also very creative. I'm very solution driven. So I tend to look at problems in a solution oriented way. And I like to do what everyone likes to do. Hang out with friends, watch TV programs, all of that. Also sports. I also love to do sports.
What type
so I think
of sports?
I do CrossFit. So I'm very energetic. Yeah, definitely.
Excellent. Well,
But
lovely.
that's
Very good so far. So far, so good. Before we jump in and dive into the topic, just a reminder to our listeners. In this podcast, we're here to have conversation with future leaders. So today we have Vera with us. We aim to gain firsthand understanding from the future leaders, mostly Gen Z, about their approach to work, life, learning, progress, and equally, we will welcome current leaders as well to share the insights and provoke how work environment and learning institutions need to adapt, don't need to adapt, will adapt. How much willingness is there to ultimately set up the younger generation of leaders for success?
Vera, also a very warm welcome from my side. And since we have you here, it's great that we start diving into what really matters about our podcast. So my first question would be if you can just share with us your perspective on generational gaps in the workplace and what role current leaders play versus Gen Z.
Yes, of course. And I want to start with a small disclaimer because I think it's important for our listeners, is that I'm speaking from a place of privilege because, of course, of the country that I live in and all my professional experience. So I think it's important to have that in mind, that I have the freedom to make different decisions and make choices with my life that some listeners might not have. So I think that's an important disclaimer. Generational gap. That exists. That's definitely a truth that we have to live with. I felt it myself during my short, not so short career. That's one thing that I would highlight. So we're very young, okay? And we have leaders that are older than us, typically, right? Because that's just how things flow. And I would say that the gap between us is on the perception. And I think that leaders sometimes look at us because we are younger in a negative way. And I think that's what needs to change because the world has been improving, right? We're better than what we were 60 years ago, 70 years ago. So the tendency is actually to improve the world. But because we are so different, they look at us and some of our characteristics in a very negative way. And a first one, I think, is our reliance on social media. You may say, social media, why is she mentioning this? I mean, this is so unimportant. But that's one gap because it isn't. It's super important. One thing that I started to think about is actually the fact that we have access to so many different lives, like so many different possibilities, right? 6 years ago, that was not the case, but I'm scrolling through my social media, whatever that is, and I can open a bar in Bali. I can start my own business. I can just make money online. I can't just open a bakery. I can pursue my corporate job. But that creates some tension because I am constantly looking at multiple options, multiple possibilities. And that's one thing that affects the perception, the generational gap, because leaders, older generations, tend to look at us as, they just quit so easily. They don't know what they want. But that's not the case. I think we just want too many things because we have so many possibilities. It's crazy. And you're constantly evaluating if the path that you're currently on is the best for you. So we're not lazy. And I think leaders tend to look at us like that because of this gap.
What makes this generation so particular? What drives this generation? What is it that motivates them?
Well, I think we are very ambitious, but in a very different way. So ambitious not when it comes to corporate achievements. That I think we are not looking for, and I thought very deeply about this. I don't think we are looking for work-life balance because I think that if we paid attention to our moms and dads, we definitely see that that's not possible. Right? They were workaholics. They worked probably too much. And so we understand that it's not possible to have work-life balance because we know that work is life and life is work. Okay. So the work that we choose for us has to make sense with our life. So it has to make sense with our purpose. We don't just want a job, right? We want something that really fits in what we believe in what we want for our lives. And again, I think that's why we change a lot. We change more than ever, right? We just quit jobs so easily. And so I think that what drives us in terms of work, it's having something that really fits within our lives and our beliefs, because we don't want to create a balance. We know that that's not possible. So companies really need to think about how to approach that balance that we know that it's so hard to achieve. But again, ambitious to create a work and life that makes sense, that fits within our beliefs, and that is sustainable. I think that's super important.
Can I just ask a follow-up question? Because we just published our second episode where we had Irais Broves, who is a human performance coach, and she works a lot with Gen Z. And she was actually talking about the impact of the countless possibilities that you alluded on that this generation has access to. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because on the one hand, you have so many choices and you can, as you say, like if I want, I go and open up a bakery. If I want, I create a YouTube channel and I can start making money potentially out of it. Mm-hmm. How do you process it? How do you find ways to navigate the jungle?
It's very hard. And I have multiple examples of people around me that are constantly unsatisfied because there's two sides of the same coin, right? I know that what I'm doing is not enough because I have these 1,000 possibilities in front of me. So I just keep chasing and questioning, is this the right path for me? I could be doing X, Y, Z. So you're constantly questioning yourself. But at the same time, you feel sad because you shouldn't be questioning, because you have this corporate amazing job. You have this life that it's so great. You have you have probably flexibility to do whatever you want. That's why you question yourself. Otherwise, you wouldn't question it. You would just be happy with your regular job. So you get frustrated because you're constantly questioning yourself, and you have to deal with the frustration of constantly questioning what you're doing. So it's very hard. And I think, again, that's why we quit so much, because when we are faced with something that is not aligned with what we want, we just remember, oh, well, I don't have to do this. I can just do something very different. And I just quit like that. It's very hard to deal with this frustration. But one good thing, in a positive side note, is that we are experiencing so much. We do workshops that have nothing to do with our corporate life. We learn how to sew. We learn how to cook. We do this ramen workshop just because we want to have different experience, because we want to explore those potential different paths, but we do it at small scale because, of course, we can not turn into a chef in just one day. And so that's why we travel a lot, because we want to have different experiences. And so a workspace that offers us that flexibility to work outside of the things that we have to do, I think it's very important, because companies need to allow us to explore, because that's just how we are. We have these different possibilities. We are constantly frustrated with our own choices. So we need to keep trying different things, because I think that's how we better decide if this is the right path for me. Because I then experience something and it's super cool, but it's definitely not for me. And so you're refining your own experience.
I just heard so many things that are new to me that I haven't tried, to be honest. Vera, how do you connect? How would you like people of other generations connect with you? Give you the right environment in order for you to be able to thrive? What is important for you or people in your generational gap?
When you say, how do you want to connect? Do you mean the channels, the formats, the
I mean,
content?
whatever is important for you. Communication is obviously one thing.
Right. And I don't think we can have this discussion without mentioning remote work. Because, well, that's a reality, especially for our generation. We saw that that is possible. So now companies can't tell us that it's not, because we just don't understand, because it was possible when we had to make that change. So communication is getting harder and harder, because we communicate even less. We now have these amazing resources, AI, of course, which creates a gap in communication, because I don't feel good about asking my managers these not stupid questions, but questions that I can just ask ChatGPT or other AI powered tool. Because if I have all of these resources, and our generation is very tech savvy, so we are supposed to be working with these resources, these platforms. So communication is getting thinner. We don't communicate as much. And so that creates a problem, because without communication, there's no visibility. Managers don't know how I reach a certain point. They don't know my thought process. They don't know how creative I was. And they can start questioning, did she do this? Or did ChatGPT do a certain thing, a certain task? And so this creates, again, a gap in communication about what is important to me. And also, I think that without communication, my manager can just realize how frustrated I am when I just say, I'll quit. I want to quit. Because of this lack of communication, lack of guidance as well, because you're supposed to work autonomously, you work remotely, you have all of these resources, so you just work on your own. So there's a lack of guidance when it comes not only to the operational and execution side of things, but also about leadership. Because again, we're going to be the future leaders. So we need to start to communicate more with these leaders, the current leaders, so that we understand what is relevant. Because we know that other people, they know more than us. We just know different things. And so we know that we have a lot to learn when it comes to leadership, but those skills are not being passed over, I believe, because of resources, lack of communication, remote working. So how can leaders do this better? It's a great question. Very important one, definitely.
So just one thing. It's so profound what you're saying. I think the assumption there is you guys don't want to communicate. You don't know how to communicate because you're constantly on your mobile phone. So you didn't even learn how to communicate. But what you're saying is actually, well, you know what? With all the resources and tools I have, there is a lot less communication happening both ways. Because in a way, there is potentially also an expectation. I'm supposed to know because I have so many resources at hand. So I'm expected to know. So I will not ask. I use different resources to obtain knowledge. And I guess for functional knowledge, it almost is okay, but that human interaction, how do you learn to provide guidance to others if you have never been provided guidance with yourself? How is my manager leading me? How is my manager helping me to become a more rounded individual, professional, and future leader versus on a day-to-day operational task? And I guess in the past, so I'm Gen X, I'm 47, we did not have the access to the resources that there are today. And even I can feel how much less there is in communication amongst my peers, because we're kind of all becoming more resourceful with the technology and figuring out things on our own a lot faster than picking up the phone and call each other. But because you're not doing that, there is also not this moment, hey, how are you? How are things? And by the way, I have that, random question for you. So that doesn't happen. And what you're saying, it becomes thinner. So how do we make it more meaningful, more intentional in areas that really matter and will make a difference, where AI will never step in, at least from what we know today? What would be your expectation towards current leaders? What would you wish for?
To me, the ideal is very clear. So I don't want you to teach me how to use a platform. Okay, I do that on my own. We don't want to waste our times because we are very fast. But the interactions you're having with me need to be meaningful. Just like you said, use the time wisely, because a lot of things cannot be taught via ChatGPT. And I think that my generation actually understands that. So we want that guidance. And I think make those conversations meaningful without losing the human side of things. Because let's say you're only interacting with me on those ones that you are supposed to talk about career growth and all of that. But that's not happen if I don't have those random interactions with you. But then it's not happening because I am using resources to get my job done, to get my work done. So in order for you to not manage me, but to be a leader for me, to inspire me, you need to have that human side of interactions. So I don't need you to help me execute, but I need you to be a human for me because we work remotely. But I need you to look like a human so that I can then have those conversations with you. Otherwise, you just turn into a coach because there's no human interaction. We are remotely talking to each other. So we need to not forget about the human side. Otherwise, I will never look at you as a leader, because leaders have to be human. So that piece is very important. And I think that's how you ultimately bridge the gap between generations. Of course, we can do multiple things, but let's not forget that we are all humans, very different, but we need to respect each other. Respect comes with communication, and I need to see you as a human. And you have to see me as a human as well, with different characteristics, different ambitions, but look at me in a positive way, because this missing a whole generation is so sad.
This is so reflective how you phrase it. Respect, acceptance. And I think very often, and I'm thinking about myself, like now all the interactions that I have with, no matter which generation, I think the millennials, equally Gen Xers, they're more forgiving. Gen Zs are not. So if I, in my interaction, go to Gen Z and I start talking to them about how they should be doing their work, they're probably going to be rolling their eyes the moment I leave the room. But if in my interaction, I talk to them more about leadership, giving guidance, framework, providing context, why are we doing what we're doing? Where is it going to get us? Bigger picture, more contextualizing the work that they're doing, and they're perfectly capable of doing it themselves to a very large extent. Once they get, on board the train, they can run, and they're actually a lot more effective because they are also quite equipped to be very resourceful and figure things out a lot better than probably the millennials did, or I did when I started my career. Fascinating.
You mentioned something about providing context, and ultimately, I think that's about purpose. So you make
Yes.
sure that you are passing over the purpose. Why are we doing what we do? Not how. I can figure that out on my own, but from you, I want to hear why are we doing what we're doing? Because again, we are constantly chasing purpose because there's no work/life. Everything is together. So having that purpose, that context, that additional information from you leaders, it's crucial.
I think this is amazing input. And Vera, one thing always that I like to ask, how much do you expect the workplace to change in 5, 10 years from now when your generation will be leading?
Well, based on how fast the world is evolving and changing, I expect to change a lot. Even for me, I'm young, I would say, even for me, it's hard to imagine a world in 5 years. And that is a bit scary if you think about it, because we don't know what resources we will need to have in order to thrive in a different world. But I expect the world to be more agile, more flexible, more remote, more globalized. All of these are like very hot words, I know, but that's how I see it. I don't think that traditional companies will be incredibly successful when it comes to people, of course, not about business, because I think those major companies will have more trouble adapting, be more agile, flexible, changing constantly, because that's how my generation is looking at work, at least the people around me and also myself. I want to work in a company that is fast, that can adapt, because the world is changing fast. It's very easy to get not updated, to become old. So we want companies to have these characteristics that are in parallel with the world. I want my company to be agile in purchasing this because I want to also be able to explore that. And so if you can give that to me, I'm very happy with that. Let's say I work in a company that has a lot of problems with AI because of data privacy or integration. All of this makes sense and we understand that. But if my company is more agile and can give me the resources that I can work with, I'm happier because then I can become more efficient because I am aligned with how the world is at the moment. So I think that companies need to adapt in order to keep up with the speed of trends.
Can I ask, just related to that? You mentioned remote working quite a few times. Is your generation interested to building connections, human interaction? Is that generation interested to be more present face to face, and we don't have the right environment? We haven't created the right environment for face to face interaction, or rather not? And what's your pick on office, hybrid, remote?
Disclaimer, I've never had work that I had to go to the office because I started doing COVID. So I always worked remotely, but I can speak to everyone around me as well. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. No one likes to go to the office. They
Why
feel like
not?
they are being pushed because they feel that you are forcing me to do something that I don't want to do it. That's just how it is. Because then I can, again, have more time to my own life. And so I feel that work and life fit better together. So if my work is more aligned with my life, I like it better. It fits my life. So again, because we feel that companies are pushing us to do something that we don't want, but let's not dismiss the human interaction. So let's get together. Let's do something meaningful with our time together. I just don't want to go to the office to do something that I can just do home. And
Yeah,
I don't think it's because you tend to think that we are lazy and because we work remotely, we don't work enough. That's a lie. If you give us the space, why not? I prefer to just work 12 hours in one day and work just 6 on the day after. But is that a bad thing? So the thing is that companies need to change how they assign work. So I cannot have, 20 items that I just need to cross. No, I need to have responsibility because if you give me responsibility, my name is there. You'll know if I was working or not. So it's about how companies assign tasks or projects. If you give responsibility, you'll get the back.
Yeah, and there are companies that notoriously suspicious of
Mm.
if you are not present, you're not working, or you're working not enough. And if you are on site, I can actually supervise you. I think they have a different issue. Like there are so many trust issues to cover. And I think that's not related to the generation. Now that Generation Z has a bit of a stigma that we discussed before. But I think it goes back to meaningful interaction. Don't make me come to the office to do my phone calls, my Teams, Zoom, just for me to be physically present and
Yes,
present.
yes.
Make it meaningful. Sorry, Bios. I
Because
was
I'll just be sitting on my desk with my headphones. What's the purpose
yes,
of that?
yes,
I can't help myself and not bring up to the discussion your T-shirt. It says "Run for your dreams."
Right.
What does this mean from a Gen Z perspective?
That's a great question. And I swear this wasn't on purpose. So, again, the achievement of a great life, a life that makes sense. I have a very good example, someone that is very close to me, which I share my house, but I can see this example across my friends and family. We are never satisfied. We are never satisfied. And that is so frustrating, but it's incredible at the same time. We are constantly looking for ways to be more happy, more healthy. This is all linked because what we are looking for ultimately is to have a better life, a more fulfilled one, where our work fits our life, where we feel better, where we are happier. And we are constantly looking for that. We are constantly running for our dreams. And our dream is not corporate success. It's not. It's a life that makes sense, that has purpose. And when I say purpose, it's not make the world better. It is a bit, but it is about our own satisfaction with ourselves. Stop questioning yourself. Live your life the way that you think it makes sense. So to find your purpose, to stop questioning everything that you're doing, I think that's the ultimate dream. At least this is my dream.
Great.
amazing. And I think there is a bit of misconception or misunderstanding when companies, and I mean, we'll talk about that generation or think about how can we make the workplace more appealing to that generation and how can we make our companies more appealing to that generation. We very often get into that purpose, and purpose is defined as, okay, we need to have a good agenda that addresses also the external factors in the world and how the world is evolving. But this is for you a given. You expect that to happen, that people act and operate responsibly. When you talk about purpose, it's your purpose in life, your contribution to yourself, and how the company, wherever you are, whether it's corporate, small, startup, private, how they can contribute for you to achieve that purpose. Is that correctly framed?
Perfectly. Perfectly.
Amazing.
That's exactly
I
it.
think it's one of those things where we probably take it because we have purpose agendas and we're like, yeah, but we're very purpose driven and we're telling people why we're doing things we're doing. Of course, our purpose agenda is very, very concrete. We have very clear targets and very clear goals. But that has nothing to do with how attractive I'm going to be to you. Like, you literally could not care less. I mean, you care, but you don't because it's company's agenda. That there are tensions in your own life that you're trying to kind of navigate through, meaning you're battling every day with yourself to not be frustrated by the vast uh, opportunities that are out there for you and options to explore and to find your own happiness universe where you're actually craving, like the more I listen to you, you're actually craving for some stability that you can actually be happy with what you have. Is that fair?
Yeah, if you can help me manage this challenge that I face every day, it's incredible. And Inga, I think that's exactly it. So we care about companies that really try to improve the world or have a less negative impact, but we almost take it for granted
Yes.
because okay, you have this huge list of incredible things you're doing for the environment, but we are also the environment. What are you doing for me? You're doing these incredible things. You create those volunteer actions or whatever that is. But then you are forcing me to do something that directly impacts my life. No, you're not sustainable. No, you're not green because I'm part of the environment and you're not caring about me. You're not giving me time off, for example, that I can spend with my family, or you are, but then you force me to, send that email at 10 p.m. So are you caring about the world? Maybe not.
Can I play that back a bit at you? Your generation comes across very demanding. You're very articulate. You are saying things in a very concise way. It's very easy to grasp what is important to you. Why is it important to you? But equally, who as individual and contributor, if you choose to work in a company, of course you need to make sure that you are in a good place, but equally, the company is paying you and the company has also certain expectations. To make it a more cohesive place, where do we meet halfway? Because there are moments where, well, I need you to send that email at 10 o'clock in the evening, or there is something and I call you outside of the office hours and say, Vera, can we do this today? Where do we meet each other? Because there are those moments probably every day.
No, and trust me, I totally get it. I work in a startup. And that's the thing, Inga. I'm very lucky to work in a place where I found that, and also my industry overall, I feel like I found purpose in what I do. And I'm so engaged that I don't care about working at 11 p.m. even. Where you
That's the
are
thing.
aligned with what you're looking for and you feel like the company respects you and gives you flexibility, but flexibility is both ways. If I have the flexibility to start later, I also have the flexibility to finish later in that day. We understand that. That's the thing. We need to feel engaged because we are not just looking for job anymore. We are looking for job that fits our life because that's how we feel engaged. When we feel engaged, Inga, you can ask us everything. We are very creative. We are very fast. We are very resourceful. We're good. I believe we have the competencies. I mean, I'm talking about a whole generation. We are good. We have some bad elements, of course, but we're good and we can give you everything, but we need to feel engaged. If we don't feel engaged, we're out.
And I think this is a great message to all our listeners. I think it's amazing to hear it. And I think there are a lot of things that we need to correct as we go along.
Yeah, and I think engagement is what all big corporations, we measure engagement. And it's across generation that, if people are not engaged, there will be a different reaction. And I think your generation is just going to quit.
Yes.
Because you guys will not endure, because of the possibilities that you look around and you have access to, you will just not choose to cope with it. Whereas my generation probably will be a lot more enduring and will give it another chance and another chance and another chance up until we get headhunted. We still don't resign. We get headhunted and then we move on, right? Whereas your generation, you guys are a lot more comfortable to resign. If it doesn't feel right, you guys give chances. Like you don't spontaneously wake up one day and say, today I'm going to resign because I'm not happy. It's also a build up. It gets there. And then at some point you take the decision and you're a lot more comfortable to take that decision, whether you have a lined up job or not, because as you say, you can go and open up a bakery and just be a baker for a bit. Wonderful example. I think there was a lot of insights in the perspective where you guys are coming from and how the environment needs to adapt. And it sounds like it's a one way, but it's really not. We just need to come a bit closer to each other. I think that's the key message. And that there is a craving actually from your generation to us as current leaders talk to me, give me guidance, give me perspective. Perspective will help me understand the bigger picture and the purpose. And it's all around the why. The why is so important. It's not the what we're doing. It's the why that is so critical. And if you guys don't get the why bother? And yeah, it sounds like you, based on your preference, you found a really good place where you feel you have a purpose, you are fulfilling your purpose, and the company is giving you something that fulfills your purpose. I think another very insightful moment when we think about how do we create purpose for Gen Z, well, I think we're creating it all wrong, or we're communicating it all wrong in the first place. Fantastic. On.
I think we will need more than another hour to finish everything with Vera because it has been so insightful. And thank you so much, Vera. I guess it's time for our lightning round.
Before we go into the lightning round, I'm conscious we were asking a lot. And is there anything, since you are having us here, you would like to ask?
What would you say are the incredible characteristics that you see within our generation?
What stands out is curiosity. I think that generation is extremely curious. And I think it doesn't come across as such because you mentioned it at the beginning. We don't ask questions. And that sometimes gets interpreted, I think that's the right way to frame it, gets interpreted as they don't care. But when you actually dedicate time, this generation is extremely curious. You learn a lot faster. You are expressive in a very blunt way. And me, as being an executive, I appreciate that because very often people package it up and put a ribbon on it. And then I have to read between the lines. Are we on the right track? Whereas your generation is a lot more straightforward in the communication, which again gets a little bit misjudged sometimes, that it comes out bluntly and a bit maybe inconsiderate, but you know exactly where you are.
Okay.
You're not shy of expressing yourself. We lost that a little bit through corporate bullshit bingo. All the words we're using. Curiosity is something that we're trying to instill back into the older generations, because the world is moving so fast, and this is an advantage that you guys are having big times. Talking about it more and expressing it even more would benefit and would create and adjust a little bit also help adjusting the perception that is there. And I think today I'm taking away that you are actually looking for guidance and leadership, because I think also that is misplaced. Yeah, they know everything. They come in and they're demanding. And I think it's fair for you to expect, if we talk career progression, for faster progress, because the world is faster. You're learning faster. You're coming with a very different luggage than I came when I started working.
Right.
The learning happens at a faster pace. And I think the likes of us probably cannot believe it and cannot keep up. And they were like, no, but you have to do 3 years assignment. Well, but do you though? So being demanding is not a bad thing. Curiosity, being demanding, and actually craving guidance and support in leadership. I think that kind of starts to stand out for me.
Thank you, Inga.
Yeah, and maybe one last point from my side, and I fully agree with everything that Inga put on the table. I manage a team of Gen Zers right now. So for me, I see a generation that really likes to listen as long as you pay respect to them. If you pay respect in the way they appreciate it, they will listen to you. They're a team of great people that are out there doing a great job for they truly listen and they try to get better in every aspect that is important for them, but also for our business, obviously.
Thank you. And I wanted to ask you this because I think if we start to look at each other more positively, I think that's exactly how we start to bridge the gap. And thank you for the opportunity to be a guest in your podcast, because I think that it's a very interesting project. And I think this is actually the starting point, having these conversations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vera, we have just one small thing, a lightning round. So I'm going to shoot a few things and just don't overthink it. Whatever comes to mind first, you just say it. Your favorite chat channel?
WhatsApp,
Social media you spend most time on?
TikTok,
You get music from?
Spotify, of course.
You get podcasts from?
Spotify, of course.
Physical books or audiobooks?
Physical books.
What is the one skill you would recommend to your generation to learn?
Ask more questions. Just ask more.
What is the one skill you would recommend our generation to learn?
Scroll more on social media. It's not a skill, I know, but do more of that.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. A famous person you would like to meet?
If it's famous, I wouldn't love to meet because I don't know how they are in reality.
Interesting.
But let me say, yeah, why would I want to meet someone that I don't know how they are? So, yeah.
That is
I
quite
know
telling.
this
It
is
is quite telling,
strange.
though. Yeah. Look, it was a blast having you on the show. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your perspectives so openly, transparently, and so clearly. I'm pretty sure our listeners will enjoy it as well.
Thank you.
Indeed.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Vera. And you can find us on wherever you get your podcast from, including YouTube. Please hit the follow or subscribe button, leave a message for us to discuss, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.